I am N7 Strider and welcome to my Mass Effect 3 Leviathan DLC review. Now first things first, I've got to say a thank you to Scottish Warrior 92. I watched his review on YouTube and I actually realised a few things as I watched his DLC. I was being too critical. If I was going to review the DLC, I wanted to review it critically and not as a fan. And I realised that I did have to review the DLC with a bit of fan love, because one of the things that he touched on was the lore. The lore in the Leviathan DLC is really worth knowing if you are a fan of the series, if you care about the lore, if you care about the history. And as I was playing it and trying to keep in mind and critically focused on it, I was ignoring the lore. On the lore alone, this DLC is well worth the purchase. So I have to say thank you to Scottish Warrior 92. Go to his channel. I'll hopefully provide a link. I'll probably forget those, so no promises. To Scottish Warrior 92's channel. Check out his review. Check out his channel. It's well worth it. He's currently trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before the 1st of January 2013. Almost forgot what year it was. 2013, and I think he can get there quicker, to be honest. I think he can get there by November, December. I think he's being a bit too modest. I think he can do it. So go there, subscribe. Yeah, show him some support, because his videos are a laugh a minute and well worth it. So this review is, partly Scottish Warrior 92's as well, because he opened my eyes with his review, and I had to review this with a little bit of fan love in mind. But I also was as critical as I can possibly be to give an honest review on this. So first things first, the story. What's the basic premise of the story? Shepard has been sent to the Citadel to go to the Project Aurora labs to looking with Dr. Bryson for a possible Reaper killer. So of course that's going to be something that he's going to be interested in looking to, and that's the premise. That's the whole thing. How the whole thing kicks off. I'm not going to go into spoilers here, so I'm going to keep the story details and all that sort of stuff spoiler free. I'm just going to go through the critical points from here on out, no spoilers. Yeah, so you go to the Project Aurora labs, and this sort of acts as a new mission hub, and in here it reintroduces something that's been missing from Mass Effect since Mass Effect 1, which is a puzzle element. It's in here where you have to piece together clues and information from data pads and terminals to discover the location of 3 things relevant to Leviathan. I can't remember what those 3 things are. One of them's a doctor, I believe. Another is it a professor or an artifact, and Leviathan itself in the 3rd and final mission. So it reintroduced puzzle elements, which I really liked. There was one puzzle element that I didn't like in the first mission, where you're trying to make your way through these labs, and it was a bit like a maze, like a labyrinth, and you had to find a certain passcode for a certain door. And I was just thinking, this is a mechanic that was used in Doom, like 20 years ago. Find red keycard for red door. I didn't like that section. I thought it was just trying to lengthen that mission out somewhat, because it just seemed to be drawing it out for me, and I really did want to get on with the story elements and plod on with the story, because I really wanted to meet this Leviathan. I wanted to see what this thing was that was powerful enough to destroy a Reaper. So I was playing through it in kind of a hurry. I played through it a couple of times just to make sure I didn't miss anything, and that I could give you guys as accurate as a review as possible. Which, even though I've already stated, on the lore alone, if you're a Mass Effect fan and on the lore alone, you should get this, because it is worth every penny. Yeah, so it reintroduced puzzle elements. I also looked at what it introduced to the main game, what you could carry over from the DLC into the main game. That's always something that I look for, something that's important. And it introduced 2 new weapons. One was the Raider shotgun, and one was the Argus assault rifle. I don't know how you pronounce that. I believe these were also pre-ordered DLC. I believe. I'm not entirely sure on that. I'm sure it was through EA's pre-order system on PC. I'm not up with PC, so I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, they were available as pre-order bonuses. I'm pretty sure on that. I tried them both out and I didn't like either. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I thought like maybe I could use these guns in the main game. and carry them through, upgrade them, add things onto them, make them really sweet, but they just didn't seem to do anything for me. They seemed a little underpowered, and I'm just a big fan of the Vindicator assault rifle, if I'm perfectly honest. I love that gun to bits. Yeah, it also added on some weapon mods. I almost forgot the name of them. Yeah, added on some weapon mods, and I didn't like these at all. I'm a very aesthetic guy. I like things to look a certain way. I like them looking. I'm a very visual person, and I tried these mods out, and I didn't like them at all. I didn't like the way they made the weapon look. So I didn't use them. They did seem, from the stats, very helpful, but from the way they made the weapon look, I didn't like them. So I tend to stay away from them, just because, but they are useful. You could use them in the main game if you don't mind the way they look. If you're not concerned of how the weapon looks, but more how it operates and how it feels to use. Then yeah, you can use them, and they've got some great stats. I believe there's one that increases melee damage, one that increases headshot damage, that sort of thing. Yeah, so yeah, there's a few things that carry over. Oh, there's also, and this will be of great interest to anyone who plays as a Renegade Biotic, there is the ability, after you complete the DLC, to add to your Shepherd the Dominate Biotic ability. If you're playing as a Renegade Biotic and you really like to get into your character, you're going to be picking that flat out because it's a really helpful skill. I don't play as a Biotic myself. Maybe when I do go through Mass Effect 3 with my Biotic character, my female Shepherd who's a Biotic, I may equip that to her, because I found that really fun to use in Mass Effect 2. It's a great skill, and I like to play the role. So you know, it's yeah, for a Renegade Biotic, or you know, or just for fun. If you don't mind the skills and you don't like to play the character, you can just use that skill, because it's a really nice skill, and I'm glad they added it into the DLC. I wanted to touch on the mission variety as well. There wasn't a lot of mission besides there wasn't a lot of variety to the missions, apart from the first mission, which had that puzzle element in that didn't really work for me. There wasn't a lot of variety. You seem to be facing Reapers, the Reaper forces, across all 3 missions. I thought maybe Cerberus would be involved in this DLC in some way, shape or form. You think they'd want to stop something that could kill a Reaper, because they want to control them, they want to dominate them. Yeah, so it didn't make sense to me to be fighting the Reaper forces all the way through. I thought maybe Cerberus would pop up or something, but yeah, 3 missions of fighting Reaper forces back to back, it did get a little old, and I was starting to get a little bit bored towards the end of the DLC with the combat, because I was facing the same forces. Then by this point I'd tailored my guns, tailored my abilities to tackle Reaper forces, and I was just starting to find the combat a little easy. I was playing on Insanity, by the way. I always play Mass Effect 3 on Insanity because I think it's the easiest of the 3. I really do. I think Mass Effect 1 was the hardest, definitely. I still haven't beat that on hardcore yet, and that's just hardcore. I've beat Mass Effect 2 and 3 on Insanity, so that maybe that says something about the combat, and you know, the mechanics of 2 and 3, and why 1 in my opinion is still the best. But I digress, I'm getting off topic. Yeah, so they tried to spice things up in the 3rd mission by adding escort mission, as like a sort of escort mission, and was that in, yeah, no, that was in the 1st mission, where you escorted a repair drone. If you're familiar with Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, you'll have come across the repair drone. It's identical to that, and in the 3rd mission you had to pick up some satchels or something and take them to a specific point to power up a certain item. And yeah, it was another mechanic taken straight from the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, so you'll be familiar with these mechanics if you played Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. And you know, it was trying to spice things up a bit, and it didn't really work for me. But you know, still, the combat in Mass Effect 3 is what it is. It's fairly competent. So the mission variety, there wasn't much. They did try, but it just wasn't enough for me. I really wanted to fight a different enemy come the 3rd mission. I was like, oh, Reapers again. I mean, I can understand for story purposes why it's Reapers, but it was starting to get a little old. So I'm just going to jump straight ahead to my verdict. Would I buy the Mass Effect 3 Leviathan DLC if I had the knowledge now that I didn't before I bought it? And for the lore alone, yes, I would definitely buy it. I mean, it uncovers so much about the Reaper's history, the Reaper's past, and Leviathan is kind of awesome. Yeah, I would definitely get it. I would absolutely definitely get this. Originally, in my original review, I said no, I wouldn't, and I realised I was being just a little bit too critical. Thank you, Scottish Warrior 92, for pointing that out, and I was just a little too critical on it. So yeah, Mass Effect 3 fan, if you love Mass Effect and you care about the lore, you care about the history, you care about the characters, then get this DLC. It is definitely worth it. If you don't care about the story and you just, if you're just wondering, should I get this DLC? Does it add anything? Then it adds stuff, and it's pretty competent, but it's not brilliant. I wouldn't say it's the best Mass Effect DLC ever. That only goes to Lair of the Shadow Broker, just for the sheer wealth of stuff that it added to the single game. The mining in particular was well worth it, with the terminal where you say you need ESO, you go to the terminal, I need ESO, and it'll give you the location of a planet where there is ESO. I mean, that added to the main game. There was also a terminal with a bunch of lore on it, and you could check up on any character and it'd bring up the background as the videos. Like if you came back and checked once in a while, there'd be new videos and you got a glimpse into some of the characters' lives. And yeah, that was by far, in my opinion, the best Mass Effect DLC to date. I absolutely love Lair of the Shadow Broker, and the story itself was phenomenal, the pacing of it, and it mixed things up pretty much with every mission. Yes, so sorry, I was just checking my notes. One thing it does add to the main game, once you have finished and scanned the various planets and what have you, is it adds war assets. War assets don't count for jack. We know this, we've established this. They don't mean nothing in the grand scheme of things. As for instance, at the point where you get the choice to save the Rachni Queen. This is a slight spoiler, by the way, for Mass Effect 3. So click off now if you haven't finished Mass Effect 3 yet. I'm sure all of us here have finished Mass Effect 3 by now, so I'm just going to jump ahead with this. If you haven't finished Mass Effect 3 though, click off now, because you're going to. This is a little spoiler, only a little one. But at the point where you save the Rachni Queen and the Krogan, I spend maybe 15 minutes just sitting there staring at the screen, and then I paused the game, and then I went for a walk, and then I came back, and then I made the decision to save the Rachni Queen. Now the only reason why I saved the Rachni Queen was because I wanted to see her in the final fight. I wanted to see how a Rachni fights. We know how the Krogan fight, roughly, we know they go in all guns a-blazing, but we haven't seen a Rachni fight, not really. So I wanted to see how the Rachni fight, but the war assets don't count for nothing. So I didn't get to see it. I didn't get to see, the Rachni Queen kicking ass along with her children, alongside the other species. I really would have liked to see that, and unfortunately we didn't get it. So you get a bunch of war assets in this, and it was almost like a slap in the face from BioWare. Well, or maybe both BioWare and EA. It was like a slap in the face, just like, here's some more war assets which don't mean anything in the grand scheme of things when you get to the ending. Why bother putting them into the DLC? They don't count for nothing. Just leave them out. I would have been perfectly happy. But the fact that these war assets just kept coming and coming and coming, it was just like, they don't mean anything. And as I was playing the DLC, I was being reminded of the terrible ending. So maybe that's why I was a little too overcritical. I was being reminded of the ending as well. Another spoiler, so this is a huge one for Leviathan. Click off now if you haven't played Leviathan yet, because this is a huge spoiler. You gone? Good. It's just you and me, people. So Leviathan itself, how it looks like a Reaper. Fair enough, they created the first Reaper in their image. I can understand that. But what was with the face? All the time it was talking, it was probably saying some really important stuff. And what was with the face? That face there, I really didn't like it. I was hoping that a renegade action could come up so I could just hammer it and just like punch it in the face and say like, you created the first Reaper, what the hell were you thinking? What did you think had happened? you know, so, maybe it told me what I thought it was going to happen, and I was just that concerned with its face and the way it looks. I like the way it looked like a Reaper, and it was kind of like a crab sort of thing, because it's an aquatic species. But the face, I really didn't like the face. It was kind of like they used the face of the Shadow Broker and just changed a few details and then just shoved it in there because it looked similar to me. I don't know if that was just me or not, but yeah, there was that face, and it really grated me. I don't know why I hated it that much. Maybe you guys disagree, maybe you liked it, but the face there, I was just like, why does it, why? I just couldn't get my head around it, and instead of listening to what Leviathan was saying, I was just staring at this face like, that is one weird face. I didn't expect you to look like that. Yeah, and it does, what Leviathan does do with the DLC, and I really liked it, is it restored some of the powers to the Reapers. In Mass Effect 1, they were like godlike, you know, they were just like, you can't comprehend us and you never will. You know, so it's just like, this is going to happen, you like it or lump it. This is coming from Sovereign, you know, not verbatim, but you know, that sort of thing. He says like, you'll never understand why I'm doing this, and it was like a godlike sort of a god machine that was just like, you won't understand my plan, I'm just going to wipe you out, and that's the end of it. And it was missing from Mass Effect 3. They were just war machines essentially that just come to destroy us, and there was none of this feeling of power from the Reapers anymore. Sure, you saw them destroying stuff, which, you know, is showing their, you know, their physical power, but there was none of the, you know, or you know, Mass Effect 1 and 2, it felt like a Reaper could just push you down just from sheer power alone. But in Mass Effect 3, they were just reduced to warships essentially, and yeah, Leviathan does add some of the power back to the Reapers, some of the, you know, the menacing, like, godlike machine, which I really did like. I think I've covered absolutely everything that I want to in this review. Yeah, I think I've covered everything. I want to say yet again a thank you to Scottish Warrior 92. Go and subscribe, because, as I said, it's a laugh a minute. His videos are hilarious and well thought out. On every Friday night, which I can't attend because I work, Scottish, if you're watching this. Yeah, every Friday night he does a live stream, and he uploads the videos onto YouTube the next day, and they are fantastic. It's always a thought piece, always thought-provoking, and they are well worth watching as well. So go to his channel and subscribe. I've been N7 Strider, and I should go.